What do you think, little Dashy? It's a pretty alright job site. Yeah, meets our standards. A little bit of a cooler day today. Well, I guess it's about the same temperature, but less sunny. Just low to mid 60s. Kind of weird for June, but oh well. We're kind of set up here. I was a little self-conscious yesterday with the video. I like to keep my job site organized and keep everything where I know that it always is when I'm done with it. So I normally have a couple of these sawhorse arrangements. Sometimes I've got more paperwork and the drawings and the book and some hand tools and personal items and maybe like this brown bag of hand tools and stuff like that there. And then another arrangement like this elsewhere with the power tools and the charging setup and the radio, which I may jump into that. These were sawhorses from the site. I'm going to go through the type of sawhorses that I like to build and have around in another video, perhaps in this series or standalone. But two sawhorses, you know, nothing out of the ordinary there. See if I can break the door real quick. But I will say that the tabletop is a bifold closet. It's you can see the seam right in the middle there. This barrels of the hinges are facing down. But I took 6 or 8 of these smooth bifold closet doors that were painted white out of a project a couple years ago. And they're excellent for job site tables because they fold up in a robust way. The hinges, there's normally 2 or 3 hinges. They're pre-existing, so, you know, if you can find yourself a set or you could buy them even like that, they're probably worth the price. I liked having them come out of a project because they were free, they were already painted, hinges were installed and everything. So anyway, there's a robust hinge aspect. It does have a positive stop at 180 degrees, which is nice, so you don't have stuff rolling away on you if you open it the correct way. They're light. They're not extremely weak, but they're not extremely robust. I'm not going to put a vise on this. I'm not going to do bench work here and rough it up. However, it provides a flat surface for mild to moderate construction things, operations. Even putting sheet goods on there to make cuts on to support your sheet good it's perfectly fine for that. And basically they're all wood, so if you were to bump into it, run into it, you're not going to dull a blade or anything. They're cardboard core. They're like a stick frame with a cardboard end grain core, and then they're wrapped with like a veneer plywood or what have you. So I just love that little setup. It's awesome. You can just fold 6 or 8 of them up into a pretty tight block and put it on the ladder rack. So we got the vacuum. We've got some hardware set up here and the nail gun, and we've mostly stripped and vaulted the ceiling in the kitchen. There's the big reveal. Obviously there's not going to be any beams in the way. We've got one out of here. It's just me today, so it's moving a little more slowly, but we got to I'm going to take the other 2 out of here, and it's been working really nice. How do I show this? To start with, I go up this end. I get the ladder right underneath the end of it, and I take the 2 carriage bolts out. They're just 1/4-inch carriage bolts. It's like there's 2 nails from either side to hold it where they wanted, and then they drilled everything together and sent a carriage bolt through with a square nut on it and tightened it up. They fought me a little bit. I've had to smash the carriage bolt end in tighter to stop it from turning and start the nut going on it until it jammed and started turning the whole bolt, and then smash it all back this way, grab the head of the carriage bolt with locking pliers and hold it and go back and forth. I brought my sockets and everything, but being square nuts, you can't use a hexagonal socket to run it out quick with the impact wrench, so I'm using, you know, wrench and locking pliers. But I go up this end, I unbutton everything up here, and these are built from 2x8s. It's a 2x8 on this side, a 2x8 on this side, and then I was thinking it was a 2x8 in the center, just coped at the ends, but it ended up being a 2x4 down in there, just to give that look from below, that it's a solid 3 pieces of dimensional lumber. It's just 2, that's fine. But I get to a point here where the carriage bolts are out, then I can put the big crowbar in and just jam to the left, which opens this piece from there a little bit, jam to the right in there, which opens this piece a little bit, and then I just take a thin kerf, what's it called? It's basically, I call it the oops blade. If you were framing along and you make an error and you need to separate framing lumber that you just shot together with nails or something that you can't just unscrew it, it's a super thin saber saw blade or hacksaw blade that goes right in there, and the teeth don't stick out to the sides very much, so it doesn't really leave a trace of having to saw down in there, and it just cuts nails off. So anyway, I smash these out just enough to make it. It never hurts to give yourself a little more room, because we are going to see this. This is going to be appearance. sort of quality when we expose it, so I don't want to just have big, you know, I don't want to have a lot of this. That's actually sawdust. So this is what you get when you come through there. You cut the nails off and you don't leave a big witness to all of the, you know, aggressive sawing that you did. These need a little bit of sanding. That's not actually anything. That's just some dirt. So that gets it separate. And then since I've been working with the ladder underneath me, boom, it comes down 3 or 4 inches. This is just pine anyway, or Doug fir maybe. But it just comes down and stops on the ladder. Some more working by yourself tricks. I need to write a book. I learned a lot of them from my dad, actually. He's a Mr. Work by Yourself. So then it's on the ladder. Then I can come up to the other end on my other ladder, rinse and repeat, take the bolts out, jam it open, reach in there. And this is a little pad on the back. I bought this in my other video series maybe a week ago or two to cut the alternator out of my work truck because a bolt got jammed. And like I said in that video, I do own a Sawzall, but it's once you get on a Sawzall, I laid them down together. The Sawzall is a wonderful tool that inspired this tool, but the handle on that's back here. Now to run it one hand, I've got so much weight out in front of me to run it with one hand and babysit something else or maintain or support or check something else with my other hand. It makes a huge difference to have the pistol grip. This thing has plenty of balls, which is why I invested in the fuel, because I'll be putting it to work. But this now, I can run this like a turkey knife, one-handed, and like I say, use my hand. Other hand's free to kind of check on things here. I could use my headlamp. Look at that. That's nice. So then what happens? Oh, this was headed off for the dormer. So this end, when he comes down, this just comes down and goes clunk and sits there. Then I'm free to change my ladder arrangement to something conducive to coming down on, just by myself and bringing that down to the floor, which is no problem. I got one out of here with Grant yesterday, so I'm aware of what they kind of weigh, and I'm sure we won't have an issue. Anyway, this was headed off here, like I was saying. You can see, here's your original rim. It's hard to say what that would be. It's a rafter. It's the first rafter on the roof system that comes down, and it, since the other side of it is planar with the framing surface on the outside of the building, that puts it inside a 3.5-inch wall, which is where you see it is here. And here's the plane of the wall. Fine. Then your next 2 or 3, where is he there? Let me turn my headlamp back on again. 1, he comes in. 2, 3, they had to be bird-mouthed out, and then a pocket was built in the wall, and somebody built this carrying beam or header section. It's hard to say. A lot of people call beams headers. That's not correct. You caught me with my nomenclature here. I'm not sure which is more correct. Either way, I'm heading that off, the ends of the rafters, and now they're carried across this span, and then ostensibly to the floor on this end, and to the floor on this end. They got a nice pair of 2x4s under him here. Over here, somebody boxed around him, but they forgot that, really the only vertical purchase that is right there under my finger. Everything else here could just go ugh, if it was a real concern, which it's not. Because when you get everything up like this, a lot of structural integrity is important to create the structure, and once you cover it, skin it with plywood and shoot that all full of nails or screw it down, you could normally lose 30, 40, maybe even 50% of the physical framing, and it would stand no problem under most circumstances. It's, a lot of framing is just to get it to a point where it can be sheathed and stuff, because sheathing adds a ton of integrity to a structure. Nevertheless, we always keep it in there because it returns drywall interior finishes. It does protect against earthquake and wind shear and snow load, and there's a bunch of great reasons to keep your framing, which is why we do that. But just as a interesting thought experiment. So we set the toilet in the corner to kind of mock this up for the client. We all kind of chatted about it. He was saying, I'll just do a curtain, a shower curtain. I said, hey, great idea. That'll solve our door swinging problem. We can also look at bifolding or sliding little shower door. We will check that out too. And then I'm thinking here, we'll probably, since the shower's in this area, we'll probably try and exhaust fan right out here to keep this area of lumber from becoming too humid, we're going to definitely have a fan. And I'd like to make it when you turn the lights on in the bathroom, the fan runs. It's been my experience that if you leave somebody the option of turning on the switch for the fan, they forget it, they don't want to listen to it, whatever. They think it's just for if you destroy the bathroom, taking big poops in there. Really, it's for humidity. It's great for a stinky bathroom, but it's for the humidity. You want to evacuate humidity. So I like to slave light and fan together, which is where I'm going with that, electrically speaking, which makes a nice segue to the panel. So we'll talk a little bit about what we did electrically here and what our plans are in that way in another video. But for now, this is really cool. This makes a huge difference. I think it's going to be spectacular when it's tied into the kitchen space and we send maybe some light fixtures down and stuff. So check it out.